What's up, Facebook?
Yo, yo.
Here we are, getting ready for episode 20 right here, right now. I'm glad that my phone lets me know when I go live so that I can turn this shit down.
You and your fucking phone.
Oh, no. So what we're going to do real quick is get set up to record like we do every week. And we have a little bit of a different setup this week, so we're going to try to play some sound bites for you along
Obviously,
the way.
there's no swamp things behind us, so we are at a different location.
Right. There are no swamp things. There was supposed to be Kramer in all of his glory, Cosmo Kramer, but that didn't pan out. So
No.
that's okay.
Pop it, pop.
So I'm gonna get ready to start recording here. You know, I guess for real, I could record all of this stuff and just cut it.
Word.
So I'm gonna do that. Start recording now. All right. So obviously, this week
Was a fun week.
Was a fun week. We didn't
Unless
get in
Donald Trump Jr.
Unless, or a couple other people maybe around him. So I'm gonna start off by playing a couple clips. Those are the clips that if you listen to the podcast, you hear those before we come in on the topics. So since I've got this set up this week, we'll go ahead and start with those, and then we'll get into the show as we normally shoot it. So there we go. You might want to turn that up.
Yeah,
this is Donald Trump Jr. Being interviewed by Sean Hannity the day that the story broke about the emails between him and a Russian lawyer or whatever. So,
away when all of this was going on is that someone has information on our opponent. You know, things are going a million miles an hour. You know what it's like to be on a campaign. We just won Indiana, but we're talking about a contested convention. Things are going a million miles an hour again. And, hey, wait a minute. I've heard about all these things, but maybe this is something. I should hear them out.
Okay. When you read the parts about the Russian government or Russia supporting your father, did that put off any sirens in your head?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I think this was, again, just basic information that was going to be possibly there. I didn't know these guys well enough to understand that if this talent manager from this universe had this kind of... I don't even think my sirens, went up, or the antennas went up at this time because of it, because it wasn't the issue that it's been made out to be over the last,
He's a robot.
9 months.
At any point where you...
all right. So that's a clip. That's probably more than what I'll lead into the show with. So that's one, and then we'll go ahead and play the other one for you, which is kind of where our conversation's gonna lead.
Right.
There are new revelations about the meeting between Donald Trump Jr. and a group of Russians last year. Donald Trump Jr. admits it was to seek potentially damaging information on the Clinton campaign. But just who attended the meeting continues to change. Now, a prominent Russian-American lobbyist and one-time Soviet military officer has admitted he too was at the meeting, which was also attended by President Trump's son, the former Trump campaign chairman, the president's son-in-law, a Russian lawyer, and the music publicist who set up the meeting.
The president is spending the week...
All right, so that's where this will go. And real quick, even though I know I'm going to stop this, I'm going to delete it because we didn't do all that, and now we're going to record.
Gotcha.
Alrighty, so here we go. Pretend, if you're watching on Facebook Live, that you just heard the cool electronica music. And we begin. Alright, so we're back. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about this week. A lot to talk about unless you're Donald Trump Jr.
And then no big deal.
And then no big deal. Big old nothing burger.
So let's pretend that people don't know what's going on. For a moment.
We will. But before we do that, let's just ease in. Let's ease into the show. We'll start out by talking about us, because that's what I got the microphone. You can't stop me.
All right.
So
try it. I'll fight you.
This week is episode 20. We're gonna stop saying the numbers of these, because I realized that if I turned on the radio, and heard the host come on and be like, "This is episode 4,900."
Hey, Joe Rogan does it. He's like, "This is episode 900."
I mean, I guess that's true. It's just for us, it's a good point of reference.
Yeah.
It's easy for us to go, well, if you have questions about this or you want to hear our thoughts on this topic, episode 18, whatever, So there's that. Next week, we're going to be shooting a little bit differently. Mitch is on vacay.
Jelly! Yeah.
So Mitch will be in California next week. Visiting family.
Visiting family. Hopefully Antifa won't kill me. We'll see. You never know. They're going to locate me and take me out.
Take your bike lock repellent.
No!
So that's a shout out to the late Adam West. You're my hero. He had repellent for everything.
He did. Came in handy.
So
I'm going to be pretty much... I'm still going to be posting. I'm going to be doing Facebook Live updates from the beach. Right near the beach.
Right.
It's going to be great.
I will still do an episode next week. We'll still be putting out an episode on iTunes and all the anywhere where you get a podcast, it'll be there. Mitch won't be on it because Mitch will be in Cali, but it will probably not be as long as they typically are.
2 hours.
I don't imagine that I can fill 2 hours without having the conversation. And plus, I don't know that I'd want to. I really like the format, the way that we do it. I like the conversation, and I like that we don't always agree, so we kind of hash through things together. So I don't know that I would try to. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet because I'm
going to be doing for 2 hours.
Right. I don't know. I don't know, but so I would expect definitely a shortened episode, and I don't know that I'll do it live on Facebook next week either. I may do an update throughout the week, maybe before I shoot the episode on Facebook, but I don't know that I'll actually shoot the episode like this on Facebook Live. So if you do watch it, if that's your platform for taking this in over there on Facebook, then you probably won't see a full-length episode next week. But there will still be an episode. It will still be up on iTunes. I will still, promote it and put it all out and all that good stuff. So,
word.
So yeah. So anyway, let's get into this week and what we know so far.
Here's kind of the breakdown of what actually happened. So Jared Kushner has decided to update his when you did his security clearance. You have to go over all of your meetings and everything like that. And he has updated this 3 times now.
Right.
Or this is the 3rd time this is the 3rd version, so he's updated it twice.
Right.
And it went ahead and included a meeting that was attended by him, Paul Manafort, and Donald Trump Jr. So this is how it started. Then somebody in the Trump camp leaked out, or said that they were going to leak out the details of these emails between Donald Trump and this Russian pop star who is the person who set up the meeting. Originally, Donald Trump Jr. said, "This is nothing. This is just it was a meeting about adoptions, and it's no big deal." Then they said, "We've got a little bit more dirt on this. It looks like it's more than that." They said, I think it was a Sunday, might have been Tuesday, because everything comes out on fucking Tuesday. It doesn't make any sense. but
Hollywood.
Right. But they said, hey, we're going to do this story, and do you want to comment? He said, give me a little bit more time to get a comment. Give me a couple hours. So they said, okay. And in that time, instead of making a comment, he went to Twitter and dropped the contents of the emails in a way to try to get ahead of it, ahead of the story. Which I think probably was the best decision.
Or if you're Donald Trump, you'd call that transparency.
Yeah, it's just transparency. Yeah, totally. No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
But I just think it was probably the better thing of him to do is to do that rather than wait for them to drop it. But it didn't help much.
No. Either way, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
It's the email scandal.
Right.
It's its own email
within
scandal.
These emails, it basically goes on to show that there was conversations between him and I'm forgetting the guy's name, the pop star. He really doesn't seem to be that important to the story, other than the fact that he's the one that initiated the meeting and all of this.
Right.
So he's telling Donald Trump, hey, I've got some people for you to meet. It looks like they've got some dirt on Hillary. To which Donald Trump Jr. replies, if this is what you say it is, I love it, especially around this time in the campaign. This is going to be great. Mm-hmm. So then over the next 18 hours or so, there's a few more emails about them just basically trying to set a time for this meeting, which we'll get into that part just because it was stupid. Like, come on, how many times can you say 3 o'clock good for you? Yeah, if it's good for you, but is it good for you? Like, they say it like 8 times. Like, dude, come on, it's 3 o'clock. So, and then right before the meeting happens, that's whenever the pop star goes, this is top level security, super, high intel. This is the Russian government.
Because we support your father.
Yeah, and the Russian government because they support your father and that. And I don't know, I can't remember if Donald Trump Jr. replied to that or not, but then the meeting happens. So he went into the meeting after, it's not like it was that portion of the email was before or after the meeting, it was before the meeting.
Right.
So then he goes into it. Turns out that this lady who they were meeting with was a Russian lawyer. She is not connected to the Kremlin.
Keep in mind, too, that this is Donald Trump Jr.'s story.
Right. Well, this is
the outcome because
this is what actually happened, and we'll break into what they thought happened
just
and all of that.
Just because somebody who has zero credibility and has been lying for 6 months says this is what happened at the meeting doesn't necessarily mean we should take him at his word.
Well, again, like I'm saying, we'll go through what actually happened, and then we'll go to what they thought happened and whatnot. The fact of the matter is that this is who they met with. She is a Russian lawyer. She doesn't have ties to the Kremlin. Not to say that they didn't know that. Obviously, they were under the pretense that she was. Mm-hmm. So she's just a woman who's a Russian. They meet with her. They pretty quickly realize, like, this is not what we came for. She's confused because she thought they was going to get something out of it or that they wanted to talk about something else. And then the meeting lasts for about 30 minutes, and then they go away.
Again, this is Donald Trump Jr.'s account.
Right. Well, this is what everyone's account of what's said. That's her account. That's Paul Manafort's account. That's Jared Kushner's account. That's this pop star's account.
Hashtag credibility.
Yeah, I'm saying that's what
the
what
account,
it looks like.
right? And that's so that's what we'll go with.
Yeah.
This is what a bunch of liars say. So
that's where we're at now. And then obviously people kind of had their own interpretations of it. So now let's go through what the Democrats were saying, what the Republicans were saying, what Donald Trump Jr. was saying,
right,
and what we eventually have decided to come up with. So the very first thing that happened was liberals and Democrats jumped on it and said, I think the very first thing was this is collusion. This is the smoking gun to the Russian collusion
right, yeah,
story.
That was a big and Republicans jumped on that as well.
The usual suspects. You've got your
Charles Krauthammers.
The guy looks like Frankenstein.
He's a smart guy.
What does he do? He's a smart guy. I've read had to read some of his material in college because he's won a lot of awards.
Republicans jumped on there too.
Not to the same extent.
John Kasich.
Yeah, John Kasich and what's his name? I can't remember. Arizona. Come on. Arizona.
McCain?
Yeah, John McCain and Lindsey Graham, the usual suspects who hate Trump, obviously jumped on it.
Right. I think though that there's something to jump on here. Especially
right at the beginning, before all the details really came out. On face value, you should probably be like, "Whoa, what?"
I don't think that. And now I will admit too that when I saw it at first, because the reaction from a lot of sides was, "Well, this is evidence of at least attempted collusion."
Right.
When you look at what collusion actually is, it's definitely a jump to call it collusion. It's not collusion. Right. There are other things that could be wrong here, and I think this hurts. I think it hurts the credibility of the argument that there was no collusion because there was clearly attempted something. So it makes it a harder argument if you're in their position. That's all I'm saying.
I think it goes both ways. I think that if you're looking for collusion, and do we have the actual definition here of collusion? Do we have that written down? Because I'll go over what I've been led to believe it is. So basically, the two biggest things that we come out of this is Democrats immediately start spamming their impeach button because they just really want to impeach Donald Trump, whatever means necessary. So basically, the first thing we heard was treason. Well, actually, the first thing we heard was collusion, but then we heard treason.
I've got this article from, hold on. I want to... Is it I don't want to cite the wrong name. It's a Politico article, and my plan was to actually credit the author, but the only name I see on it is the photographer, so I'm not giving you credit.
You just took a picture. Man, you're peeking all over the place. I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like yelling into this mic. But basically, I am just like yelling into this mic. Collusion is not a federal crime except in the unique case of antitrust law. So we should stop using collusion as a shorthand for criminality. That doesn't mean that the alleged cooperation between the Trump campaign and Russia is of no criminal interest.
Right.
If it's true, it may have violated a number of criminal prohibitions. For example, if Donald Trump Jr. sought dirt on Hillary Clinton from the Russians, he may have been charged with conspiring to violate the election laws of the United States.
And that's the big one right there.
Right, which prohibit foreign nationals from contributing anything of value to an electoral campaign.
Let's stop there real quick so we can break that down.
Yeah,
because
that's fine.
Basically what the statute goes on to say on that when it comes to financial campaign contributions is it talks about no foreign national or whatever it is can offer up any type of, and it lists like 3 different types of monetary things, like any type of money, any type of campaign donation, any type of promise for campaign donations, and then it states or other thing of value. And this is where it gets sticky, because they're saying that, well, if they come up, even though she's not tied to the Kremlin, that she's not actually tied to the Russian government, she's still a national, she's a foreign national.
Right.
And that if you could say that even though she didn't have anything, there was no actual there in this case, Donald Trump Jr. was under the pretense that there was going to be information.
Right.
Now, that's where it gets hard on Democrats' parts, because they would have to basically have to define other thing of value to include information. Now, there's some people who are saying they possibly could convince a court to do that. I think you could probably get the 9th District Court to go along with that. But I think that, again, we're going to come up to the same thing where if you go to the Supreme Court, which of course they would, appeal it and all those things.
Right.
When we get up to the Supreme Court, I think that if they look at the context of that law, because everything has to do with monetary value, and then it states, or other thing of value, I think the argument is much stronger for that includes something, other thing of value means other thing of monetary value. Because you could just say, I could tell you, hey man, cool hat, and then you go, maybe I'll market this hat, and it suddenly becomes a thing of value. That seems really sticky.
What I think, here's where I think you could draw.
And if they're not actually getting any monetary value from the information,
I don't put as much on monetary as you do. But what I do put something on is physical value, right? Mm-hmm. If I was on the Supreme Court and I was charged with making this decision, if you told me something, it would be harder for me to get, because there's no written anything. If you gave me a document, then I could find that being
because
that
then you
falling
might be
under
able
thing
to
of
sell
value.
it. You might be able to do. I could kind of sort of see that.
Well, and if you have, I don't know.
But to say other thing of value, like what does that mean? If they're just going to try to get more votes out of it, that's intangible.
I think
that's not
it's
something
hard.
you can't see that.
I think it's hard. So if I came up to you and I was like, "Hey, Hillary Clinton did this in Syria," to me, at least from a court's perspective, I would think they would be, well, yeah, but like, how do you know that? How do you know that you can trust that person? Now, if you have an NSA document or a hacked email,
then that's different.
That's a thing of value.
Yeah.
So where they later go on,
I still think that's hard within the context of that statute.
We need to see what was left with them, because we know the documents were left with the campaign officials.
I didn't hear it because everything that I've been hearing said that
Russian lawyer who has Soviet ties was there.
Soviet ties. Define those Soviet ties.
He was a spy or some shit. I don't remember what the.
He was a counterintelligence officer for a number of years in the past, and now he's just a lobbyist.
Okay. That's ties.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
This is extremely.
Are you kidding me?
No, that's extremely reachy.
A lobbyist doesn't have ties to the Kremlin.
That's like saying that every single lobbyist in America has ties to Donald Trump. it's that degree of separation.
No,
where
it's
you're
like no, it's not. It's like saying that they
totally
have
is.
ties to Washington, which they do.
Well, that would be different. But this guy's just
We're talking
lobbying.
about the Kremlin.
Yeah,
not
this guy's
Putin.
lobbying on behalf of Russian interests. That's not the same thing as collusion in the Russian government from Putin for
Right.
Donald Trump.
No,
Like,
that's
a huge
yeah,
reach.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. But
Just like how they say, like, oh, well, he's Russian,
I
so
think
he's evil.
you kind of passively made that. Well, he's not even Russian. Like, yeah, he
Right.
is.
My problem is that they just keep. Anytime someone's Russian, they're just like, oh, well, then there you go. There's a collusion. It's like, no, guys, we're not at. Again, we're not at war with Russia. We don't have anything against Russia. They are technically our ally. You can't just say every Russian is the
You're
enemy.
not. You're the only person in this country who calls them technically our ally.
They are
we
technically
do
our ally.
share some geopolitical interests. We also don't share a lot more of them. They
They're
are
still
not an
in-
enemy. They are an adversary.
They are in the United Nations. If they were an adversary, they would not be within the United Nations.
They're in the United Nations up to a
Because they
point.
have
They're
helped
also
us in
sanctioned
every
the
war.
shit out of. Guess what? We're not
Yeah.
sanctioned because we're not bad guys.
Oh yeah, we just have a lot of friends that don't see us as bad guys.
So-
I'm sure, trust me, we're doing some bad things too.
Here's the thing. Like, you can maintain that mentality that Russia is. We should be shaking hands and touching tips with them, and like that's fine. But you're one of the only people, rational people, because you're
Yeah.
a smart dude.
That's fine. I'm
Call
I'm
them
fine
what they
planting
are,
myself
though.
and go.
They are not an ally.
They
They are
are.
not an enemy. But they are not an ally.
They
If
def-
they were an ally, they wouldn't hack our election. Like, that's not what allies do.
We've
So
been
let's
doing-
not pretend that it's not okay for Barack Obama to give him a little bit of leeway. But then when Donald Trump wants
Well,
to
I don't play politics
wants
like
to
that.
use his mouth as Putin's.
Oh,
Oh?
what's he using it for?
What is he using it for? God, man, if I would have thought of that quicker, I probably would have got it out.
Russian law says illegal.
But like, let's not pretend that we're buddy with Russia. We're not.
First of all, let's not pretend that what they are accused of doing, we don't do, and every one of our allies doesn't do.
Two
So
wrongs
let's-
make a right.
No, it doesn't. But
Right.
you're saying
Okay.
that you're
I
saying
win.
that this is why that they're not our ally, and we can't be allies with them. But we can be allies with these guys because we're just not talking about it, even though they're doing the exact same thing. So let's not pretend here that everyone isn't playing politics
I
and
agree.
everyone
no,
isn't doing
I completely agree with you there. I think that there should be a standard, right? Like, so
Well, that'd be nice,
if
but it's
we're
not gonna happen.
So if we're not, so if Russia is an adversary for XYZ, so should China, so should Syria,
Well,
so
we
should
start losing a lot
so
of our
should
allies.
Germany.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we
Like,
start losing a lot of our allies. at
there,
that point.
there should be a standard. So it's not my fault your system is
Saudi
shit.
Arabia and whatnot.
Like, not your system, but our
Right.
system.
Right.
But I'm not gonna pretend like, oh, Putin, what,
Right.
Uncle Putin or Uncle Vlad.
But that's the
Great
main
guy.
that's the main reason
It's
why,
not.
because you've heard a few people, not many, well at least say that, but some people were throwing around the word treason, and I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
that's a far reach.
because there's an actual definition of treason that you would have to. First off, we would have to be at war with Russia. We are not. Second of all, we would have. It wouldn't be that Russia helps us. You would have to help them, and then it's treason.
Right.
You have to help the enemy. Them giving Donald Trump Jr. information is not. It's the reverse. So right there, it already isn't going to be treason. So a lot of people aren't saying that, and I'm glad because they looked really stupid when they did.
Yeah, but on the flip side, a lot of people, a lot of Republicans are like, "It's a setup." It's not a setup,
Oh,
and if it is a setup, he took the bait. His bad. Like, he's still screwed up.
Yeah. He screwed up either way that you look at it. The problem, and like I said, we've had this conversation on the phone many times. We got pretty heated during this whole time about this because, for me, I like to look at things as legally as I possibly can because that's where results come from.
And I like to look at them in the correct way.
So whenever the problem is that if Democrats came out and said Donald Trump Jr. lied, I'm on board because he fucking did lie. Like, that's definitive. There's
Yeah.
no other way that anyone can look at it other than saying he lied about the intent, he downplayed about who it was with, and he lied with
as recently as 2 days before he
Right.
dropped his own,
and then
before
more
he
people
admitted-
started showing up to
Right.
these and it's like
And now, as we're 5 or 6 days out from the initial drop,
it's died down now, but
well, more and more people though. Now it did die
there was
down.
one extra guy
but
that was there.
there was a total of 8 people there, and
Oh, was it?
and each day another guy was dropped.
Yeah.
And
I haven't heard anything from them. I heard that they were just,
and the thing is, though, where this really hurts the people involved with the Trump campaign, and I don't think that I don't think yet that this reaches Donald Trump. I don't know that this will. I do think that this potentially hurts Jared Kushner.
It potentially does.
I really do.
I don't think it does yet.
I don't think it does yet.
I think definitively it does not yet.
No,
but
because
I think
there's not enough there. But the fact
Yeah.
that this guy is revising his shit like
Yeah.
every 2 months.
But he is allowed to do that, and other people do it too. So
yeah, it just
doesn't necessarily make it right, but I'm just saying.
Well,
context.
and it doesn't help the look.
No, it doesn't.
It hurts their
And
credibility.
at some point,
when they're constantly revising what actually happened,
and this is
hurts
why
their credibility.
we compared this to the Hillary Clinton email scandal for a very, very, very good reason.
That's where I was working. Like this week has been a drip, drip, drip of information.
So with Hillary Clinton, this is how it started. It started with her saying, "You didn't hand over all your emails." And she said, "Yes, I did." Well, it turns out she didn't. 30,000 of them were not handed over.
Mm-hmm.
And then the story was, "Oh, they're just about yoga and cooking recipes."
It's a lot of emails about yoga. Like Downward Dog.
Downward Dog, man. It's just
I got it.
deal.
It's
no
cool. We
Morning
gotta
Sun.
figure out.
And then it
Crouching Tiger,
became,
Hidden Dragon.
yeah. Then it became, oh well, some of these are labeled Benghazi and all of that. And then it was, oh well, I didn't know they were there, and I tried to hand them all over. I guess I missed some. And then it turned out, well, you acid washed them and smashed them with hammers. Oh well, I didn't think that was important.
You can wipe it with a Lysol rag or something.
And then the story became, oh well, I'm really sorry about it. I guess I did mess up. And then the final conclusion was there was no intent. So when it comes to the Donald Trump Jr. thing,
we're at step 2.
Yeah, well, yeah, and the thing of the matter is that people, obviously the emails played in hugely for Hillary Clinton and her campaign during the election because people didn't trust her because she was lying, definitively. She lied about these things. They never could prove anything,
right?
But people took that to the voting booth, and I think this is the same thing you're going to see here with the Donald Trump Jr. If nothing criminally happened, is what it looks like now. They would have to rule. They would have to do some weird redefining.
What's interesting about the whole thing is that
but he's also not up for election.
It's an email scandal, though.
Yeah.
So,
but again, it's not during election year, so people might look at him and go, "What a fucking liar!" But they're not voting for him. So is it really going to hurt him in the long run?
No. Well,
it could hurt Jared Kushner.
Yeah, and
if they can tie it to Donald Trump, it might hurt him in 2020. But we're 3 years out,
right?
Man.
But that's what I'm saying here is So it starts with Donald Trump Jr. Paul Manafort. Here's the thing that should absolutely be mentioned. Paul Manafort was the head of the campaign at the time. Paul Manafort knew not to be in that meeting. So now we can go.
You're assuming his level of knowledge.
So we can go with the whole rosy. Oh, I'm sure that the family doesn't talk at all in the campaign.
Again, we gotta look at this legally, and legally speaking, there's nothing that ties him to that knowledge. So you gotta go with that.
Right, I understand that. Common sense says something different.
Common sense usually isn't that common, and in my opinion, usually it's a little bit more complicated than that. That's looking at things in black and white, and everything is always gray.
That's fine. If Paul Manafort knew about. If Paul Manafort knew, and they were under the assumption that then they should have gone to the FBI before. They should have gone to the FBI before they responded to the email. The meeting should have never been set up. And if Donald Trump, and here's another instance where Republicans are going to go, well, they're new at government. They've never done this. They applied for the job. I don't give a shit. That is a horrible, horrible argument. You can't say, oh, I want this job. I don't have experience, and if I screw it up, that's my pass.
Did not apply for.
No, he didn't. But when we're
Manafort did, and Jared Kushner did.
But when we're talking, and again, we've already admitted that saying collusion, as far as this instance, is a reach too far. But when we're looking at an investigation that is involved, that is looking at collusion, Donald Trump Jr. is part of that, and
part of the campaign.
He's part of the campaign. He had to,
and everyone was part of the campaign, between Corey Lewandowski to what was that girl's name who was always on CNN. Whatever her name was, Michaela something.
Yeah.
They're all part of the campaign too. Any surrogate is part of the campaign, so the campaign is far-reaching.
Right.
And so, again, but when it comes to, did they get in a position? And that's what's really kind of saving Donald Trump Jr. is he doesn't have these security clearances. He doesn't have any type of role in the administration.
Where that is good for Donald Trump Jr., where Donald Trump Sr. has to be a little bit concerned, is the fact that people like Michael Flynn, Jared Kushner, and Carter Page are tied to him. And
I thought we got rid of the Carter Page.
No,
thing.
we
Carter
haven't.
Page is like,
apparently we haven't, because they have.
Are they the hardcore Democrats that just won't let it die?
No, Bob Mueller, I believe, has obtained a FISA warrant, which would mean that they.
I would expect Mueller to look through everybody.
Yeah, but a FISA warrant comes off the almost conclusion that there is evidence that. Here, hold on.
I was under the assumption that Carter Page was a ding dong who didn't know what the fuck he was talking about.
I think that Carter Page is a little bit weird here, because at first, if you remember, and you can go back in episodes and listen, like
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Carter Page was my guy, who I was like, dude, this is, and then later I was like, well, Carter Page kind of seems like he's stroking his own ego here. But let's see, where did I read this?
The thing you also keep in mind is that while they're doing this investigation, they can find other criminal charges on these guys that don't pertain to what they were originally looking for. So
Which
it
is
might
what happened
be,
with Bill Clinton.
Yeah, because they brought him up, whatnot, and then what really got him is that he lied.
Right.
He said he wasn't getting down in the
Let's
oral
see.
office.
So it says Paul Manafort and Michael Flynn officially registered as foreign agents under the Foreign Agent Registration Act. FISA order against Carter Page, which could only be obtained by showing the court that he was knowingly engaged in foreign intelligence activities on behalf of a foreign power.
That seems like a massive reach to me.
I'm just saying that's what's obtained. Robert Mueller and the FBI will likely use any prosecutorial leverage they have over these individuals to get people higher up. And so
what's the author of that, by the way?
That was your Politico.
Was that mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It said that basically, so, and where Mitch and I like to go tit for tat before we start recording these things is that, like, I can admit there's no collusion. There's just the possibility of violations of election law, computer hacking.
We went through the violation of election law. That was the one that they might have, but you'd have to redefine
false statements on those documents. Obviously, they've been revised, but
again, another massive reach because so many people do it. You'd have to get if they
that's
change
fine.
it
Well,
for
they're
one.
all guilty of perjury, and
it's like everybody, dude. Like you'd have to hit every single person.
Just because the law doesn't work sometimes doesn't mean that it shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, you know what I feel about laws? I feel that an unjust law or an unfair law is no law at all.
Because let's be real, George Zimmerman's out there walking around. The law doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't.
So they also could be guilty of wire fraud and conspiracy to commit.
Where is this coming from? Wire fraud? Like, what is that? What does that claim? Because that doesn't make any sense.
I guess that's because of the communications between the two of them. I don't understand how that's fraud. I don't know. All I know is that the people that was the article that you put in there, and those were like intelligence or FBI agents or CIA agents or whatever the shit. Not CIA, FBI. So I don't know. I mean,
looking into charges and being brought up on charges are two very, very different things.
Right.
And I think that they even just saying like, "Oh, we gotta find out if this happened." I think, in my own opinion, that nothing's gonna come of it.
Right. But I bet if you ask a liberal in their own opinion, they don't share.
Oh well, of course not, because they're spamming the impeach button. They can't hold their load.
Not all of them are. I'm not.
Most of them.
I've never called for an impeachment.
You have twice since this thing has happened. Once after. What was the most recent one? I can't remember. It had something to do with the Russia thing again. It was a really big one. You were like, no, impeachment, it's happening.
No, I don't think you're right. No, now I have said that people are trying. Like, I know that there's like the Democrat in Texas that have tried, and like, but I don't think that's not me calling for impeachment. I'm pretty sure if you go back through the episodes, you can find many examples of me going, guys, let's not jump the gun.
I'll find though. Yeah, well, typically your arguments become a little more bipartisan by the time it's time to record. Whenever you're calling me, you're coming in with impeach him.
Yeah, I don't know that that's actually accurate either.
I think twice, but I don't know. We have to go back and look.
But just like here, let me. I think I remember some things that
I'm remembering.
I think.
Let me revise.
Is that one of your anonymous sources right there? Anonymous source says Brandon called me sometime. Somewhere.
I'm the source. I'm the leaker.
Right.
But.
No,
yeah.
I don't.
When it comes to this thing, I don't think anything's going to come of it. I think that the closest they're going to have is the campaign finance law. And again, I think that if that goes to the Supreme Court, whenever courts interpret laws, context is the most paramount importance.
Right.
And in the context of that statute, it is 4 things about monetary value, and then this or something else of value.
Right.
The context is clearly monetary. I think that there would be a very long, especially with a 5-4 split going towards the Republicans on the Supreme Court. I just don't see it.
But keep in mind, and while I would normally agree with you, Russia's a whole different thing for Republicans. So
only for John McCain and Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, because they're the loudest about it. But that's not actually accurate.
Talk to a
Republican not named Mitch Hernandez.
But again,
they probably don't like Russia.
Yeah, but again, these guys aren't Russian. They're just Russian citizens. They're not Russian government.
Right, but intent goes into it, and the intent was to do something wrong.
Well, yeah, you could argue that against Donald Trump Jr., but again, he's not in the administration. He
is part of the campaign.
He was part of the campaign, yeah, but even still,
then you would
have to prove it.
You would have to prove that there was that somebody else knew about it.
Right, and again, you'd have to have evidence that he told Jared Kushner, "Hey, the Russians want to give us stuff because they love us." Like, unless he says that to him,
right? I get it.
He says, "Yeah, you."
I get it. You probably won't get, like, at the end of the day, unless there's more developments. Like, based on what we have now.
Right, where we're at.
There's not anything there yet. There's a lot of smoke, no fire.
No frogs. Might be some frogs.
No ducks.
Maybe some ducks.
But, so, you know, you made it. And it could be said too that at the end of this whole thing, it's possible that there is no there there.
Yeah.
But what is there is
do we have the timeline?
How this will affect a re-election bid, because it will.
I don't think it will as much as you think it will. I think that there's people like you who just don't like Donald Trump, and they're coming to the polls with that.
There's people like you that just do like Donald Trump.
No, I don't.
I think you think yet your base is stronger than it is.
The wall, like I said, the wall, the healthcare bill, the travel ban, these are all things that I've been critical on Donald Trump for. I just think that he's going the right path on the other things.
Yeah, that's
fine. So it's not like I'm just going to blanketly say that everything he's doing is good. I don't.
No, I don't.
However, I think that this is going to be like a Benghazi thing, where there's nothing there. There's nothing to get him on the Russia thing. This is my opinion as we go forward. Mm-hmm. When it comes to election time, nothing will have come out that's definitive. There is no legal action. There is no impeachment. There's the people who believe it, just like the people who believe Benghazi, and they're going to go to the polls going, nope, I don't trust it.
Keep in mind, too, that the email scandal came up because of Benghazi, and the email scandal affected
so we don't know where it'll go. Obviously,
so,
things can spider vein off and do all sorts of things.
This can be a little, this could be just a little like crack in the mirror.
The Benghazi thing was
different.
The Benghazi thing was different because there was really only one narrative, and it was pushed for a short amount of time. And then there was the people who really latched onto it that never let it die. Mm-hmm. With the Russia thing, this time the media is involved, and they're pushing so much stuff that turns out they've already been discredited so much. Especially you look at CNN, you look at the Washington Post, and the New York Times. They've been discredited so hard on this. I think it's going to be harder unless there's something actually physically manifested out of this whole thing.
But also keep in mind too, when The Rock runs and lays the smackdown on Donald Trump, it's not none of this is going to matter. We're going to look back and be like, man, that was 4 years that we wish we could.
I really don't want The Rock
away.
to run. I really don't.
I really do.
For the sole reason that he's bought by Hollywood at that point.
For the sole reason that I can start the show with, if you smell! That's why I want The Rock to run. Like, I'm pretty sure he could get up there and be like, genocide. And I'd be like, well, I really like 2000s wrestling.
This is just a storyline he's on.
This is a story. It's all fake. Pretend you're dying.
No big deal.
So, anyway, I think that wraps up this part of the Russian story.
Yeah.
I'm sure
there's nothing there yet, but unless they go for the campaign finance.
But it doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good, and at some point the optics can overshower. The only thing that's saving them is the optics from the media is so much worse, or at least equally bad, that it's kind of of a move.
What I will say though too is where this, and I meant to make this point earlier, but where it does, where it does get kind of interesting is that like Donald Trump is famously loyal to his family, right? So
he's changed the story
So
already.
if there is a there, that's how I see it being harmful to Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump's never going to back down. He's never going to stop defending his family. So even if his family is wrong by their own admission, he's not going to stop defending them, and that could be problematic for him.
Right. Well, he's already said I didn't know anything about the meeting, and then it changed to, well, he might have maybe mentioned it.
Anybody would have had this meeting. Are you kidding me?
Right. And I do actually think...
Believe me, anybody. You would have.
I do actually think he's right in that, because in the timeline, the Russia thing wasn't a big story. It wasn't the big thing that it is now.
Most people have...
information again. The only thing it could...
Most people have better campaigns than the way that Donald Trump's was ran. And the thing is, if you had this meeting,
I think you don't like the way that it was ran.
No,
I think it ran pretty well.
No, here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it didn't run well. He won. What I'm saying is he didn't have. If you, and I don't want to use Hillary Clinton, but any other candidate has like 200 advisors, right? He had like 37. So what I'm saying is when you get an email like this, Donald Trump Jr., the son of the candidate, wouldn't typically be the guy that gets sent to the meeting. It would be the guy on level 20 who's an intern who goes to the meeting, finds out nothing was there, and then if anything comes down, that guy gets fired.
I think that's a little... I don't think it pertains to this one because the guy who set it up, that pop star, was a personal friend of Donald Trump Jr.
He still, if he was being smart about the way that this was handling, even if he wanted dirt, an intern should have been the one at the meeting because then you wash your hands of it. I'm not.
Yeah, if he thinks it's going to be shady and whatnot, I don't think he. Everyone can admit that Donald Trump Jr. was dumb in this scenario, but looking at it through my lens of common sense and everything, I think that his friend told him, "Hey, I've got something here." He just went to the meeting because it's his friend. And he didn't think it was going to be a big deal. I truly think that that's what happened. And I know that, hindsight's 20/20. Now the Russia thing has become a big thing, but I also think a lot of that's manufactured.
But that's a bullshit argument too. Like when Donald Trump Jr. said that in Sean Hannity's interview, and he was like, "Well, at the time, Russia was nothing." No, because it started here. Duh. Like there was a time before the Russian scandal that was called 2016.
It didn't quite start here, and the Russian thing has evolved in time. First, it was that they were the ones who hacked the DNC, and then wait, maybe not. Maybe they just hacked the election, and now they think that there is some evidence for that. Again, we've gone down that road.
They did hack the DNC.
No,
didn't they?
That has never been proven at all. Again, Julian Assange says that it was a leak, and there's nothing that showed that it was the Russians who got the Podesta emails. That was a leak coming from the DNC. But the original narrative was the Russians did it, and then they changed it to the Russians hacked the election, and then they said, oh well, no votes were changed, but they colluded with Donald Trump, and that's the narrative we're on now. We'll see. I don't think that's going to come up to anything.
Well,
I think the whole thing is just manufactured.
We'll see. But, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Because, it's just...
At this point, I don't even mind talking about it. Because I think that the more that we talk about it, and the more that people talk about the Russia thing, and they have to end... If they're being logical, other people don't end like this. But when they're being logical and they have to end on, well, it doesn't look like there's anything here, I think the longer that goes on, the more it hurts the Democrats. Because they're keep pushing it, and it keeps coming up with nothing.
Yeah, but... Again,
all it takes is one day and one bit of evidence.
All it takes is one day, one little bit of evidence, and for those of us who are like, this looks pretty obvious, guys. Like, I mean, I know I don't have it, I don't have my hand on it, but it looks shady as shit. The whole thing, the fact that nobody can remember any damn meeting, nobody remembers anything after 2015 at all until we woke up in the White House. Like, who knew? So, like, all of that looks shady, and all I'm saying is that if something comes of it, and if like there are going to be those of us that look at you and go, I don't know how you didn't see it. Like, I know that we didn't have evidence, but I don't know how you didn't see it because it was pretty damn obvious.
No one plays politics.
Right. So we'll see. But anyway, I think that's a good place. All right, Facebook.
Can't see me.
But you can.
Can't see me.
We will be back after a short little break to hit up this next segment.
Rest of the week.
All right.